Hello, hello. Today we are going to be doing a wrap-up of the Lightfall event that happened earlier this month. It is part of the Magical Readathon or Herillium universe that is designed by G over at Book Roast. So if you have not checked out that readathon, or set of readathons actually, you should definitely do so. Lightfall is their 1 week during December holiday themed readathon, which is a lot of fun. It's got books, which is like a bingo sort of vibe, as well as real world items. So like light a candle or make a card, things along those lines to help get you into that holiday spirit. So let's jump right in. Okey-dokey. All right, so we are in, not in Herillium, but we are near Herillium. And I pulled, instead of doing the entire journal that I do for Magical Readathon, I went ahead and just pulled out the sections that are for Lightfall and popped them into its own separate thing. So you won't have to flip through everything. It will be hopefully a little bit of a shorter and more effective jump in. So Elynis is my first character, and this is the old favorite pass. So as you can see, there are 8 shops this year, which is an addition of 1 from last year. This is my first Lightfall, so it's also my first year at Herillium generally, but I do know, based on what she has stated in the videos for this year, that the new one is Dovanthia's flower arrangements. I adore puns. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but dad jokes, puns, love them. And so these names that she has, not just for the shops, but for like the treats and the things that are in the shops, are just perfect. I love it. Anyway, so this is the Old Favor Pass, which is kind of like the shopping district that's outside of Herillium. So the thought is that our characters go here to experience Lightfall, and they're able to go shopping and just sort of have a nice time. So first we'll go into the books, and then we will jump into all of the other parts of the bingo that were more like in the real world section. So there were 9 prompts, but you did not have to do all of them. You could use a book for multiple ones. So I did not do 9 different books because that would have been 18 books and that was a bit much for 1 week because I have 2 characters, right? So I did try to end up with about 9 for the entire week. So it would be the equivalent to 1 for every part of the bingo, but amongst both characters. I believe I ended up with 10, so it's close, but not quite. I wanted to pick books that I was already planning on reading for the most part. That way I wouldn't have to like try to get books last minute or all of that jazz. So anyways, starting out, I read Fairest by Gail Carson Levine for my standalone option. And most everything that was 3 stars, which 3 stars for me is it was good. I don't know that I would necessarily read it again, but I enjoyed it. So Fairest was cute. It is a fairy tale situation with, I don't want to get too much into it, but with your sort of Cinderella-esque character who falls in love and thinks that she is not very beautiful, and he thinks she's beautiful, you know, all those things. But in this land, I thought it was really fun that they actually sing, and singing is how they express all kinds of things. So you might just have burst into song in the middle of a conversation, or they'll hold these like mass singing things, or you'll design a piece just for this event. And they did that for one of the characters to help hopefully heal them and do them better. And I was like, that is an interesting thing. As someone who enjoys singing, I listened to it on audio and it would just like randomly bust into song. And I was like, you know, this is a fun audiobook. So if you enjoy that, maybe check out the audiobook. I will say that the songs were not particularly engaging. They were more witty or funny, and they were really short. Not a lot of diversity or things like that. So it's not like they're gonna like bust into a 3-minute song or anything like that. They're usually like really brief. But it was a fun concept. So I enjoyed it. I liked Ella Enchanted, which is the same author, so that's why I picked this one. And also it matched another prompt that I was doing, which was 2 books with the same name for a different readathon. So that's how this got here. For my white cover, I read a fairly short self-help type of book about anxiety called Calm the F Down. And I did enjoy it. I don't necessarily... Enjoy is a weird word for self-help. I did like it. I don't know that it necessarily will help a lot for me. I didn't learn a ton of additional info above and beyond what I already know about anxiety, but I did think it was interesting. So if you're just getting into figuring out, you're like, hey, I have anxiety. I don't really know what to do. It's brand new to me. That might be an option for you. If you've done extensive like deep dives on anxiety and everything else, it's not probably going to be great, but it was an interesting style of writing and I did enjoy the book. Now, I mentioned Bear and the Nightingale. I was super, super excited to read and I was holding off until Lightfall because I wanted to read it, but it fit so many of the prompts for Elynis's bingo card, so I had to hold off. I had it in my library and I couldn't read it until it was time, which was a little frustrating. So this one I thought I was going to absolutely adore. I thought it was going to be 4 or 5 stars. I thought it was going to be great. I will say it was interesting though. I still gave it 3 stars and I might end up reading the next. It is part of a trilogy, which I did not realize because I try to go into most books fairly blind. I mean, sometimes it's impossible, especially if you're on Book Talk or Booktube, but just sort of flipping through, you'll be like, oh, spoiler. But generally, I do try to go into most things fairly neutral and not really knowing a lot about it. So I did like it. I didn't realize it was historical. It takes place in Russia. I thought it was going to be like a fairy tale setting, but no, it takes place in Russia and it's historical. And there is royalty. There are kind of fae almost, but they're more creatures. And there's a sort of a dark undertone towards it all. And there's sort of a winter. It's like everything has its own creature. So you've got the horses and they have a creature who hangs out with them, and you have the houses and you have creatures who hang out with them. You have winter and that's its own, and there's this tree and it has its own. So all of these different creatures come in and out of the main character's life, as well as another character's life. I won't tell you which one. And it definitely affects... Oh, sorry, it keeps beeping. I ordered some things on Amazon last night and ding, 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 ding. Every time something ships. Sorry about that. Anyways, so yeah, I did definitely enjoy it. I'm thinking about reading the next one, but it's not going to be a super high priority for me. Maybe it'll be later in the year just because I want to see what happens to the characters. It ended on kind of, in my opinion, it ended on a note where it could potentially just sort of be, that is the end, but it has a ... You know how you feel you read a book and I feel like everything is sort of tied up, but there's room for growth and there's room for more in the story with that little ... at the end, sort of mentally in there. That's how I felt this book ended. There are several things that are still open. They can go in there and learn more about. One of them being the relationship with winter itself, and also like how religion plays into this village going forward. So there's a lot of growth there that could be happening, a lot of story that could open. But if you just wanted to read it just for its standalone, instead of reading the entire trilogy, I feel like you could, as long as you're willing to ignore that little ... at the end, sort of mental. So yeah, 4-star rating. I thought it was going to be 4-star. It definitely is 4-star everywhere else. Like listed, it's 4.3 or something when I was looking it up. But for me, it's not one I'll reread, most likely. So that's why it got a 3. I will probably eventually get to the next one. I've said that 4 times. We're going to move on. The whole next page is the same book. So that was for 300 to 400 pages, blue cover and winter setting. And then we get into the last 2, which was new release and cozy read. So for new release, I read First Time Caller, which was adorable. Contemporary romance, sort of late night talk show on the radio waves, host and single mom who got pregnant really, really early. So she is still fairly young, but she has an almost teenage daughter and all of these things that are going on, and they fall in love because she ends up on his show because her daughter is a lovely daughter, but at the same time a bit mischievous, and it changes her entire life, which is great. It was a fun sort of like curl up with a blanket, read through it, have a nice time, sort of contemporary romance. I enjoyed it. Most contemporary romances for me end up as a 3-star because I don't want to really reread them, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was adorable. I will likely read more in this series in the future. And then the last one was a Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I have read now 3 of these books. I have another one on Keirah's list as well. I find that they're cute. They're not my absolute favorite just because they're very, very, very trope heavy. And I feel like, oh, look, there's another one. But they are cute. And if you are looking for specific tropes, or you're like, I really like X, Y, and Z, which, tropes, then this is a good series for that. Everyone is different, but they all take place in the same town. So like if you're looking for single dad romance, or you're looking for return to the small town from living elsewhere, like depending on what you're looking for, there'll probably be something that is to your liking for the tropes. But it's not my favorite, I guess, writing when it comes to it, and it's still contemporary romance, and they're not my fave. I much prefer more paranormal romance or fantasy romance, things like that. But I do sometimes, like I said, for First Time Caller, I do sometimes really enjoy contemporary romance. This was on the lower end of the 3 for me, whereas First Time Caller was on the higher end of 3, if that makes sense. And I don't do half stars, I've mentioned before, but the reason I don't do half stars is because I can't put them on all of the different places the same, and I want them all to be the same. So like you can't put a half star on Goodreads, but you can on Storygraph. So, and then you get into like Bookmori and Fable and so many options. Like you can get quarter stars in some places. But so when I put it on there, I just put it on there for 3, and then like in my brain, I'm like, okay, that's like higher and lower, and I'll tell you what I think. All right. Bingo card. We're going to speed run this one. I did put little smiley faces over people's faces just so that we can protect some privacy of my friends and family. But I put a sort of proof that I completed all of the things. You cannot see 2 of them because help me move myself. You can see I'm moving myself up here temporarily. Yeah. So you can see I baked with my nieces and my parents when we went to visit them. Just happened to be this week, which was great. It's a candle at my sister's house. We did a donation. Sorry, I hit my thing. I talk with my hands. It's a problem. Did a donation. Sweet treats. Let's see. Craft. I chose to do several of my finishing up some journals because you had to finish crafts. So I finished, in this case for Elynis, the Romanceopoly journal. It is finally done. I am very happy with how it looks like. I replaced a lot of the graphics with other things. I think I'm good. I love it. I believe I already showed the majority of it on a video before now, but I made a few small changes since then that I think just sort of pull it all together even more for me. But anyway, there's that. I talked to a friend of mine, or we ended up texting because it just worked better for our schedules in this case. But checked in on a friend. Let's see. went for a stroll. I was in several airports, so we were there for multiple hours. I'm like, let's just go for a stroll. It was cold. I didn't want to go outside. I live in Connecticut, and I went to Missouri, and both those places are very, very, very cold. And I did not take my coat with me to Missouri because we were going to be inside the entire time, and I didn't want to travel with it. I'm literally going from the airport to a car that was picking me up to my sister's house, staying there the entire time, and then doing it reverse. So, like, I'm not going to travel with this giant bulky coat. So we did our strolls in airports and etc. On long layovers. Because, it's nice to just get up and walk around for a little while. Anywho's, watched a movie. In this case, it was a Christmas movie, as you can see. I think both of them were Christmas movies. Warm drink was tea. There's book suggestions, suggesting playing a game, watching the live stream, making a card, and window shopping, which I actually don't do great at window shopping because I end up either buying it or putting it on a wish list and then end up buying it again. So I did actually buy this migraine stick. I have been dealing with migraines a lot, and I'm trying out new medications, and I have had migraines most of my life, but there on this time I was off meds for a good long while because of moving and changing doctors and all that. So I'm working through with a new neurologist, and it's just, ouch, so I wanted to try some, a roll-on essential oil, because I do find that it gives temporary relief, even if it's just in my brain, so that maybe I can avoid some of the more hardcore meds, for a little bit longer, because the more you take them, the less effective they are in the long run. So that is it for that bingo card. So I did finish, as you can see, all of the center ones. Sorry, I'm going to move over here. It's going to say weird things. All the center ones here are there's only 8, not 9. No, I thought 9. And all of these are part of the bingo. Therefore, as you can see, the passport, I went ahead and popped 8 of them on. I'll either do next year's and get my loyalty card checked for this player, or maybe I'll do next. I don't know if I would get points if I did a previous Lightfall. I do want to do everything at some point. There's just so much because I jumped into this one so late. It's like 4 years of stuff. So I'll definitely get them next year. I did try to choose a different sort of stamp for each one. I wish there was a stamp already. I attempted to use their logos, and it just didn't look good on here. So I just went with the first letter of every location. If you have other ideas, please let me know, because I find this really cute. Oh, let me move myself back to the corner. There we go. All right, moving on over. I was supposed to have chosen some flower arrangements, one for every possible bingo. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could have, right? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I could have chosen 10. I didn't circle them because I started circling which ones I wanted, and it just didn't look good because there was too many circles. Maybe if I put them on the bottom. So that's the only thing I didn't do on Lightfall, was sort of picking what I wanted from Devanthea's. But there are only 14, and I would have gotten 10 of them. And so between the 2 characters, I would have gotten all of them. So I figured I probably don't necessarily need to circle them. But I do like to do some kind of way of doing it in my journal. So just because it's fun to look back on, right? So I'm still thinking about how I want to do that. Let me know if you have thoughts, because the circles, it's so much. Maybe I'll try again. But anyway, and then there's the postcard that came from the live stream, which has the rain bear, which is, I don't know if I would consider it cute, but it is something. It's interesting. It's got the candy cane horns and the reindeer body, but a bear face. Very, very interesting little creature. And so yeah, I went ahead and popped that on there. Then we get to Keirah, and we are, how far are we in? We're almost 20 minutes in. I apologize. We're going to speedrun, or at least as quickly as we can. I read Fable for my 4+ rating, and I really enjoyed this one. It is book 3 in this series. It is YA, and there were some things I didn't like, especially, I always say towards the end, but I know why they do it, because then you're going to read the next one. So anyway, I'm going to read the next one and see how I like it. annoyed about two things now in this series, and they're both boy related. I'm like, dude, is this supposed to be a romantasy or not? She's not getting any of the boys. We got more books to go still. You know, he's got to go over the entire series, right? Anyway, I did like it. I thought it was cute. It's like a fairy tale retelling, but it changes what fairy tale it is in every book. And you may see other fairy tales pop in because she's a Grimm, and they have to live through all of the stories in the book of stories in order to break a curse. And if they die, then it goes to the next person in line. It's always been a boy until now. It's a girl, and she's the first girl Grimm to ever be chosen to have to complete these stories. And she's in high school, and she's trying to get through to save her brother because she doesn't want it to go to him. And it's sweet, but it's also just a fun read. I enjoyed it. If you like YA and you like fantasy, fairy tale elements, this is a good one. All right, then I read a memoir for white cover, Kelly Bishop, and I didn't know if I would love this one or not, but I did. She is so interesting. I only really ever saw her on maybe one or two shows. I did not realize how many things she was in over her years and how much she did. And there's a story about her husband and how he was so supportive, and he ended up passing away. It sounds like maybe a few years ago, and it was just, I enjoyed it. I did. I don't read memoirs usually, but if she wrote a second book, I might pick that up. I enjoyed it. All right, standalone family game. This one was wild. Like, what kind of family does the stuff that's in this book? It's a thriller. I don't know that I necessarily loved it, which is why I only got 3 stars instead of 4, but it's definitely a bit twisty. It's definitely twisted, about like how this family operates on their holidays. It all takes place in winter. So it starts, I believe, right before Thanksgiving and ends at Christmas. And it's a woman who is just got engaged to her fiance, who they've been together for a while. She has some secrets about her past. He has some secrets about his, but she doesn't know he has secrets. You know, and then she meets the family, and the family is very wealthy, and boy howdy do they have secrets and twisted games that they play at the holidays. And so it's the family game, the games they play as a family. And it is, yeah, it's twisty. It is not my favorite thriller. I have read some thrillers I absolutely cannot put down. I did put this one down. I put it down about like a third of the way through the book, and then I picked it up again, and I finished the entire rest of it because I was like, okay, one, I need to finish it this week, but also, what is going on? Is she going to do it? Is she going to figure out what's going on? Is she going to survive? Like, what is going on? So the last part of the book, I would say at least the last half, was much more like than the first half. The first half was a little slow. And then it picked up. So I did enjoy it, and we'll move on. The entire next page is the family game for 300 to 400 pages, blue cover, and winter setting. Then the last page is just Strawberry Patch Pancake House, which I already mentioned that everything about that series generally. This is, I believe, the 4th one. The other one was the 2nd, so I have not read the 3rd one. It's the Christmas Tree Farm. I'm hoping to get that one in the 1st quarter of next year. I have put a hold in for it. But yeah, I liked it. It was a single dad, and he used to be a chef, finds out he has a daughter, and he never knew because she never told him, but then she passed away, and so I guess probably the executor of the will and called him, and he was living abroad in France, in Paris, and says, hey, you have a kid, you need to come back and like take care of this kid. So he goes to the small town. He has every intention of, you know, staying until custody is settled and everything's fine, and then going back to his life with her and like trying to keep her in his life, but back in his old life where he's a chef and he lives abroad and all of the things. And he needs a nanny. And so there's your falls in love with the nanny trope, right? So the nanny comes in. She's not the best of nannies. She's never nannied before, but she is good to the kid. She enjoys the kid. I just realized there's a bunny on this cover. There's a bunny in the book. I didn't realize there's a bunny on the cover. Anyway, she falls in love with this kid. She falls in love with the man. There is, of course, a third act breakup situation. As per most of these books for tropes, I probably should have put spoiler on that one. I'm sorry. Hopefully that doesn't ruin it for you. But, you know, it is a contemporary romance. You know they're going to get back together because that's this series. I will not tell you what the other trope is because that one is not a surprise. Like, you know it's going to happen. When you're reading, you're like, oh, look, betcha. But I don't want to just blurt it because then you'll be like, oh, when does that happen? Anyways, decent, lower 3-star for me. All right, my bingo card. We baked some more. We baked 3 times at my sister's. So this one we were making drop cookies, and I believe on the other one we were making sugar cookies, I think. We made several kinds of cookies. Additionally, if we wanted to say, hey, that's the same whatever, because it's the same people, same type of thing, I did bake at home too. I just didn't take pictures of that. So this is what I had pictures of. Then this is me lighting a candle at the top where it looks like it's like a shake or something with a spoon. It's not. It is a candle and me trying to light said candle. I don't normally light candles. I don't dislike candles. I do dislike the scented candles. And most candles that you have are either 2 purposes. One is to provide light for like your tapers and things and pillars and things that are meant for either decor or putting out light in specific locations, or they're meant to release a scent. And as someone who has migraines and has chemical sensitivity issues, I do not like scented candles. So, I will say I lit candles and then I immediately snuffed the candles out. And these are at my sister's house because I do not candle. My husband has a lot of candles because before he got married, he loved a good candle. They are all in his office, which is on a completely different floor than me. Because I don't want a migraine. Some of them might be okay. I just generally don't put them in my space. So, FYI on that. I did finish the Once Upon a Year one. I have that one finished, and that one I believe is coming out later this month. It may have already just come out, but I did just record that one as well, and so you'll be able to see that for my craft, which was an e-craft. I did look it up. E-crafts counts, according to the internet. FYI. Then, recommended, we played Uno, so you can see that in the corner. Made a card. Those are for my, those are like a, hey, you get this thing from us for Christmas, because you can't give like an actual, hey, this is an event, we're going to take you to this thing. So I have that one on there as a, hey, we're going to do this with you in a couple months. Surprise! Not really surprise. They know that they're getting adventures rather than things. That's one of them. We were stuck at a mall, a different mall that had Christmas and beautiful windows, so we went on a stroll there together. You can see my husband's hair in the very bottom corner. He's the one with the backpack and the purple little swoosh. So I hung back a sec to take a picture, but like we were walking, hanging out. Had some tea. This one is my own tea, not the advent calendar tea, because the advent calendar is mostly for my husband, though there were some teas in there that I did have. We had tea several times together and during the week, because if you have an advent calendar for tea, you're going to have tea. But this particular tea was English tea time, which is one of my favorites. I did not actually buy this window shop. I just put it in my wish list. So, yay for me, not buying something. Another movie that we watched, I believe this is it's not Red One. Is it Red One? I think it's Red One. It's the Christmas movie with The Rock in it for this one. We watched a lot of Christmas movies. Suggestion for reading, sweet treat, talk to another friend, check in, see how she's doing. We made a donation to food banks near us for that one, and then I shared my read. So yeah, I did finish the bingo again. It was a little hard to do too, just because you had to do twice of everything. So like sharing books and talking to friends, that's not a big deal. Sweet treats, I will take that. Same with having a hot drink. But like baking, candle, donation, craft, that type of stuff, Lightfall ASMR, those were a little bit more hard because I could have potentially done like a larger donation to one instead of splitting it into two. But we've talked about it before, and we were going to do a donation to a food bank, so we went ahead and did that. And then the other donation for Elynis ended up being items in our home that were donated, which we usually do in the spring, but we went ahead and did it now. Went through all of the clothes that we maybe don't use, home goods, things like that, things I normally do in spring cleaning, right? So went ahead and knocked that out a little early this year, which I'm not sad about. Then I'll have to do it in the spring. I can do other things on my list, like paint the ceiling in my bathroom, which needs to be done, or paint all the railing in my hallway because I accidentally definitely got paint drips on it when I was painting the walls. Things that are on my to-do list that I have not had time to do because it's winter and I don't want to open the windows to let the paint fumes out because it's cold. Anyways, things I need to do. And I'm chatting again, and I was trying to go fast. Here we go, passport. Same exact thing here. And that is the end. So I did have a lot of fun with this one. Generally, I enjoyed it. I will likely do it again in the future just because it's only a week and it's fun. I don't always like all of the extra bits, but I do want to be a completionist, so even the ones I don't necessarily love, I'm still going to do. But most of them were good and they were fun. Yeah. So on the Dovanthias, though, the one that I think was my favorite, they're all puns, by the way. Catloaf, Whisk Taker, Frosted Frosties, Lightfall Delight Dovanthia Special, Slippy Cup. Anyway, I like the sourdough. I think that that's cute. That's the special for here because Dovanthia, of course, has to have a special, and it's sourdough. I think generally I would probably like carrot cake because I adore it. I can't really eat it because gluten, but like in a fantasy world, I could have whatever I want, right? So the carrot cake one, which is number 13, so it's called Nose Crime because snowman. Other ones I think that are cute, I think the Slippy Cup is cute just because it looks like a frog almost in a cup, which is adorable. Yeah, so those are kind of my favorites, though the Lightfall Delight is so pretty. I'm like, is that ice and snow? And then I think it's cute. Anywho's, I'm just chatting at this point. I will see you guys in the next one, and have a wonderful rest of your year. Bye!